free software is not equal to open source software. I've seen many people confuse between a free software and open source software. These two things are quite different, but we generally confuse because most of the open source softwares are free. Now let's understand this by an example. Let's say you go to your favorite restaurant and you order your favorite dish, let's say paneer butter masala. Now, when you order this dish, you would be charged a certain amount. Now, when you are charged the amount to eat that dish, you can say that the dish was paid. Now, hypothetically, let's assume that you get that dish for free. That is, you are charged no amount. When this happens, you can say that this dish was free. So earlier the dish was paid and now the dish is free. So this is what we can understand analogously to a software, that you have a paid software and a free software. But in both cases, we have not talked about open source. Let's continue with the same example. You go to the restaurant, you order paneer butter masala and the restaurant gives you the recipe. They'll come with a piece of paper saying that, okay, this is the dish we have offered you and here is the list of ingredients we have used, here is the list of processes we have used to make this dish. So now what they want to tell you is the thing which you are being offered is completely transparent. You can just check the paper and you would see the recipe, the process and everything which is used in the backend. Now this is when we will call it as open source. So I hope after this example you will never confuse between a free and an open source software. I understand why this confusion happens because generally open source softwares or tools are free. But think about all the apps you have used or you use on a regular basis which are free. But go to their websites and you won't get an access to their source code. So I can say these are free but not really open source. Whenever you come across a software or a tool which has open source written on it, you can search the website for their link to the source code. So we can say that open source is an initiative or a model in which the creator says that, okay, whatever I have used to make this software, I am making it open to the public. I want people to see what all we have used. They can modify it, they can contribute to it. And this is kind of the ideology of open source in short. But now there is an important question. Are all the open source tools the same? That we can take the open source software and use the way we want? Absolutely not. Because let's say I develop an open source software. I say it is open source. The next thing you will have to ask is under what license I am giving you the software, because that license is the final legal thing which will tell a lot of things like you use the software, how you can use it, how you can redistribute it, can you use for commercial purpose or not. When you redevelop something with my software, can you sell it under some different license or you have to give it under the same license? There are a lot of things. So next time when you come across something open source, go to their source code or their website and see which exactly license they have used. That license is really important. So here are the common licenses which you would come across generally when you deal with open source. The first is BSD license. The second is MIT license. The third is Apache license. The fourth is GPL license, which also has few versions. Now these are not the only licenses which are available. There are many licenses, but I just mentioned the commonly used one. So next time when you come across something which is called open source, make it a point that you go and check under which license it is offered. Also, if you are planning to use that tool or piece of code or software for something which you want to develop, make it a point to go through that license and see what is allowed and what is not. So you need to have a good understanding of the license as well. In the last video, we had discussed about 7 types of tools every student should know. As a student, it is difficult that we purchase softwares, that we allocate a budget to purchase it. Again, few tools, if you are planning to make a career in it, I would suggest that definitely you can think of purchasing. But for most of the tools, you would prefer a free software. But do you know there are many tools and softwares which you would be using and those are open source, not just free, those are open source. Now, let's see few common examples and let me know in the comments, did you know that these softwares are open source? The first out of which is VLC. VLC media player we all would have used. It is an open source media player. The second is Mozilla Firefox. We all have used this web browser. It is also free and open source web browser. The third is Arduino. For all the electronics engineers, they would know what Arduino is. Arduino is a free and open source electronics prototyping board, so by which you can make embedded systems applications. The fourth one I can think of is Git. Git is a version control system. Most of the computer science students would know about this. Is again an open source version control system. The next one is Ubuntu, which is an open source operating system, which many of you as developers would be using right now as well. It is one of the many Linux distributions. Now you can compare it with the proprietary operating systems like Windows and Mac, and you can understand that when we say it is open source, you get access to everything which is in the backend. Also, one more software which is good for all the creators is Blender. Blender is again an open source graphic tool which is used for animation and different purposes. Again, because it is open source, you would get an access to how it is made. So these are the few common ones which I felt you would have come across. As a student, you would always search for alternatives which are free, because instead of paying for a proprietary software, you would prefer to go for a free software. And if possible, you would prefer that software which is open source, not just free, open source. Now, here is one channel which I would recommend all of you to follow. This is an amazing channel which discuss about free alternatives, out of which many are open source. The creator has put in a lot of effort to explain all the softwares with ease. It has got all the tutorials as well. The name of this channel is TJ Free. I'm sure many of you would have already subscribed to this channel, but if you have not, do subscribe, because this has got plenty of alternatives for the tools you are using right now. Maybe it is video editor, audio editor, and a lot of other tools. Go and check this channel for all the alternatives which are mentioned, and these softwares and tools are amazing. So I am sure this will help you. I hope you enjoyed this video and you have a bit of understanding of what open source is. You won't confuse between free software and open source software. Also, if you have something more which you want to know about open source, do let us know in the comments. If you like this video, do share with your friends. And if you have not subscribed to our channel Logic Shala, do subscribe, press the notification icon so you would get a video every Monday and Thursday. Thank you.